Hello there and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the community experts about their life journeys and how they came into the community world. And today we have a conversation with Dani Weinstein, a master network builder, an avid tennis player who even brought his team to first place in the USTA National Championships, an aspiring super dad, and a passionate community detective, strategist, and leader who even writes his own tweets. So, hello, Dani.
Hey, Yuri. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah, I'm so happy to meet you. And the first question, tell me please, why is your Twitter account named Dani Boy 777?
That's a good question. So my name is actually it's spelled Dani, D-A-N-I. It's actually pronounced Dani, which is the way you would say it in Hebrew. And what it means my judge. And when I did join Twitter, which was almost 15 years ago, all of the good handles that I found with D-A-N-I were taken, or they were related to, there's actually some pornographic site that has that four-letter name, so it's sort of not good. And so long ago, somebody coined me or nicknamed me Danny Boy, so I like that quite a bit. And I also am a big fan, maybe superstitious, of 777. So I just put that together, and I thought that would be a neat handle.
And tell me a little more about 777.
I just think seven's a lucky number. And so having three of those was going to be in good stead. Nothing more than that.
Okay, got it. And do you remember what was your first try of the name, like Danny just in general, or what nickname you wanted to pick first?
Oh, I think it probably would have just been straight up Danny Boy, or just even Donnie, D-A-N-I, nothing more than that. I have a different nickname that my tennis captain from the first team that I played on in 2009 in local league. They gave me the name Danger.
Wow.
So, I've named my teams Danger Zone. When I play, people don't like playing against me, and when I get them, tennis is really, for those people who are not familiar with tennis, you have to have physical skill, but frankly, tennis is 70% mental and 30% physical. So it's really about a mindset, and there's very much of that in play. And I'm very good at being a strategist, even on the tennis court, and wearing down my opponents psychologically versus, let's say, physically in the game. I have a different type of game than more traditional game. And so I guess because of all of that, my friend Bill Swanson coined the name Danger. And so it's Dani Danger Weinstein. And when I play, it's called Danger Zone.
Yeah. Now I know what it was, an Instagram post about the danger zone. Cool. Thank you very much for sharing that. And let's start from the beginning. So tell me about your parents. Who are they?
So my parents, so I grew up in New York, in the suburbs of New York City, on Long Island, in a town called Merrick, which is on the South Shore. And so very much suburbia. Most of the people on Long Island are tied economically to New York City. So most people that live out in the suburbs, they typically take the train. My father, his name is Chaim. He's no longer around. He was born and raised in Israel. He fought in the Independence War, and he came to the States in the early 50s to study civil engineering at the University of California, Berkeley. And so he went to Cal Berkeley in the 50s, worked in Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York, and ultimately went back. I went back to Israel for a year and a half, came back to New York, and met my mother. And so he spent his whole career, if those people don't know what structural engineering is, you have an architect that designs a building or a power plant or a bridge, and you need a structural engineer to say, okay, is the plan solid? Is it sound? Is it going to actually stand up? And so you need the structural engineer to do all the calculations to say, all right, the plans are correct, and yes, the bridge will not fall down, the building will not fall down. And so he was actually involved with quite a number of projects in New York City in the 60s, Lincoln Center, Arizona Bridge, LaGuardia Airport, and quite a few others. So he was on the engineering side. My mother was born and raised in New York City. She's a musician, so she actually studied at Juilliard School, and she taught elementary music for over 40 years. Um, my mom's still around, so she actually lives in California, about half an hour from us. She's 86 years old, and she still plays tennis twice a week.
Wow. No way. Do you
Yeah.
play together?
Yeah, we hit sometimes. But every Wednesday and Saturday, all the seniors go out there and they have what they call drop-ins. So there's 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds. It's pretty amazing. So it's a sport that, if you have, you're still healthy enough to even stand or walk, run, mildly, you can play the game.
It's totally awesome. What is her secret?
Oh boy. Well, I think there's good genes. I mean, her mother, who again was born in Ukraine, came here at a very young age during World War One. She played tennis till 86 as well. So there's certainly, good genes. And I think, she's been pretty health conscious most of her life, even though, the definition of eating healthy has changed every decade. So, I mean, as a kid, I remember we ate pretty much everything that's so-called unhealthy today. But, I think it's just you have to have a passion for living, and maybe the secret is having a good marriage and also traveling. And she's been well traveled, and that's certainly something that I've adopted. And you need to keep busy with things that you love to do. So she's playing tennis twice a week, and she's getting together with her friends playing Scrabble, and an avid reader. It's all of the above. And you've got to be blessed and lucky. So good health should not be taken for granted.
Exactly. And do you know how your parents met?
Yeah, so my father returned to the States in New York in the late 50s. He actually was set up with my mother through a mutual friend. It was a blind date.
Okay.
And, back then it's sort of, okay, you don't know, and they get married within 6 months.
It's a good blind date,
Oh, yeah.
So I understand that your mother loved playing tennis a lot. And is your love to tennis from her?
Well, certainly, yeah. She gave me the gift for playing tennis. I mean, I started playing at 8 years old. And again, growing up out in the suburbs of New York, we had easy access to go see the US Open, which was played every September. It used to be in Forest Hills. Now it's at the big stadium in the same general area. But, we were middle class, and both parents worked very hard. But the first week of the Open, the tickets were actually affordable. The second week toward the finals, it gets very expensive. And as a kid, we used to go every year to week one. So that was instilled in me, and I got to see some amazing players back in the 70s and 80s, such as John McEnroe. And then, of course, I played tennis in high school, and certainly played with my brothers, and even again till today, had occasion with my mother. So it's certainly that, and also just even on television, we used to watch Wimbledon or the French Open, all the majors. It became, part of our things we like to do and like to watch.
Have you ever thought of being a professional, like really professional, like top tennis player?
Well, you could dream, but the reality is my game is not nearly good enough to be professional level. I mean, I have friends of mine that I play tennis with who's have kids that potentially we could go that route. And frankly, you need to start at a really, really young age. I mean, 3 or 4 or 5. You need a lot of coaching, a lot of training, a lot of money, because there's a lot of it's not just about having a great game. It's also fine tuning it and getting sponsors and getting on tours. And so, one of my friends that I play with regularly is, Bill Swanson that I mentioned earlier. His son, Chathan, was, I think, top 10 in California in high school. He went to University of California, Davis on a full scholarship to play tennis. But again, even then, that doesn't mean you can turn pro. You're potentially a candidate to get into that pool, but it's really like a hockey stick curve. The level of talent and where you need to be, there's so few people that reach that level, and it's a grind. It's not like you're playing once a week, and you're playing multiple times every day and training, and In fact, one of the guys that Chafin used to play against as a teenager, Jensen Brooksby, is now in the top, I think he's in the top 30, but he's from Sacramento, 22, 23 years old. And he's done pretty well in the last year and a half. But again, it's just a crazy commitment. So for me, I was having to play in high school. I hit socially with friends for many years. I started playing league in 2009. And then I started captaining teams in 2012. And then I had the fortune of taking my team to national championships in 2013. And we came in fourth in the country. So that was a lot of fun. So that's probably the closest I get to professional. And now it was actually just in another league. And we recently competed in Orlando and we came in sixth in the country. So, got a pretty good game, but it's not, this is a different level than, being a professional, making a lot of money there. And again, it's just if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the movie about the Williams sisters, so Venus and Serena, with Will Smith, that was a fantastic movie. And that gives you some insight as to how hard it is to get into, to break through. And again, they did that, coming from, an unprivileged environment and got access to some of the top people. So, and even the book, if you ever read the book around Andre Agassi, what he went through as a kid with his father, I mean, he was literally tortured by his father mentally. He became an incredible player, but again, the wear and tear on the psyche is just crazy.
Yeah, and if we are talking about national championships, so what is it for you? A fun or a competition, or maybe both?
Well, it's both. You have to have a competitive nature to get there. It just doesn't happen, and that takes time. And I think that my strategic and mental skills on the tennis court help me to get into those levels of championships. There may be players that have better game than I do on in a casual match. They have a better serve, they have a better forehand, better backhand, but it's not just again about the physical. It's, I would say, again, 70% mental, 30% physical. And one of my favorite books is by Brad Gilbert. It's called Winning Ugly. And Brad Gilbert is the epitome of that. He actually coached Andre Agassi, but when Brad was a player back in the 80s, if you looked at him on paper, you'd say, no, he's never going to beat McEnroe. He's never going to beat Connors. He's never going to beat these top players. And he did mentally, not on his physical game. So for me, it's sort of again, I've gone twice now as a player. It's an amazing experience. You get to meet people from all over the country. It's also a lot of fun. But again, at the same time, you've got to have the competitive edge, but it's also not only about winning and getting the number one spot. It's also, you've got to enjoying the experience, and that's part of the fun.
And how did you feel when you become a captain of the team?
So with captaining, again, I had played in other people's teams, and I've got 3 kids. That's like already being a manager. I've been in HP for many years, and so I thought I could take those skills to help lead my team to bigger and better things. And so I enjoyed the captaining. And it's not just about, it's really, well, there's several things. There's a lot of organizational skills you need, because you've got to chase after everybody to make sure they're available to play, what their schedules are. You've got to set up lineups, but also it's a bit of a chess. There's a bit of a chess psychology involved, because you get to know, you're playing, we have a team in our club and you're playing teams in the other club in the local area in Sacramento. And so you get to know who's who in the league over time. And so as you see who's on the roster, you're trying to figure out who they're going to play today. You see who shows up for warm-ups. You try to guess, okay, where are they going to put this player in the lineup? And you have to, it's not just, again, it's a team match. So it's 5 lines, you have 2 singles, 3 doubles. You've got to win at least 3 lines to win the team match. And that's the most important for that particular thing. So there's definitely a chess element to it. And then, of course, understanding, all the rules and how people play. And obviously, when you've got a strong team and you start winning, it becomes a lot more pleasurable. And so you get to go do more fun things by getting to not only the playoffs, but the Sweet 16 in the region, the Final Four for Northern California, and then of course the one or two times I've gone, once as a captain, once as a player, to go to national championships. So I was blessed to go down to Palm Springs and Indian Wells with my first team, and then more recently we went to Orlando.
So, what was the best tennis match you've ever played?
Wow, I've had some good ones. So there's been a few. I would say go back to there's probably several. When I was still what was called so the way the tennis league works, at least in the United States, you've got a rating. And so if you're a beginner player, you start out at what they call level 2.5. Before you join, you have to do what they call self-rating. They ask you have a survey, and it says, did you ever play high school tennis? And if you say yes, then the minimum you can be is 3.0. If you say I played college tennis, then the minimum is 4.0. If you are a pro or a coach in a club, then you're likely a 4.5. So it's very much like a hockey stick curve. So 3.0 is like high school ball players, 3.5 a really strong player, 4.0 you played college, 4.5 you were good enough to be teaching tennis at a local club. 5.0 is the end of the ladder, and if you're 5.0, then you actually can get a national number to compete in tournaments for money. So in 2009, I self-rated as a 3.0 because I played high school tennis, and during that period of time, I had a great season. I think I was 12-3 for the year. We went to the Final Four in California, or Northern California. But I did have a match. We played a local tournament, and I ended up playing 4 matches in 29 hours over a weekend. And the last one was against him again in Stuart Fines. And so it was about a 4-hour match, and I won that 6-4, 4-6, 6-4. And that was certainly one that resonates with me, and I ended up winning the tournament because of that. Another one is when we were running on our run to nationals in 2013. I had a singles match where I think I was, you have 2 sets, and then the third set in the playoffs is always, it's not a full set, it's a 10-point tiebreaker. So the first person to get 10 points wins. You have to win by 2 points. So I think I was losing 1-8 or 1-7, and I managed to come back and win that. And then the other big one is we ended up becoming second in Northern California for the 18 and over league the same year in 2013. I played a guy that had not lost in a couple of years. And he was playing, you can play up to a higher level if you want to. And I had like a 3-hour match against him and came back. And that one also resonates quite well.
Do you remember what did you say yourself that match when you were losing and winning after that? So what helped you to win?
Sure. So tennis matches are very much a marathon, and everybody can have a bad start or a slow start, or you can have a strong start and then slow down. So you've got these ebbs and flows. It's rarely a straight shot where someone's just winning everything, and that's just a general mismatch. So that rarely happens, and usually it's much more competitive. And you've got to have the mindset that okay, where do I need to get to? What's the end game? You have to envision sort of the crossing the line in a race, or even the end zone if it's football. You do that psychologically in tennis. So if we have a slow start, you got to say to yourself, all right, I need to start winning 1 point and 2 points, because it's not just about I got to win the whole game. No, you got to start with let's get 1 good point, then you get another good point. And as you start to capture points and you win a game, and then you break someone else's serve, psychologically the momentum changes. You can start seeing the other player, they get worried, they're weakened, or you figured out, that's a way to beat this person. And so you got to continue and persevere, on that. In fact, we had a couple of those at nationals recently. My partner and I were actually up 3-love. Then we fell behind 6-5. We went to a tiebreaker. We lost the tiebreaker. And then the second set, we were losing 1-4, and we came back and won 7-5, and then we won the tiebreaker. And that match was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So after and even when we were down, I just said, look, we chatted my partner, said, listen, this is a critical game. We got to win. Let's get focused on this point, this game. And as we did that, we could see the tide changing. And even the next day, we lost the first set 6-2. But we both felt good about how we were playing. And we said, like, we lost the battle, we're going to win the war. And we did.
How did you get this mindset?
So I'm very tenacious, and I rarely give up on anything that I'm usually involved with. And so, I had a reputation for many years, I still do, of getting things done. And while also being a team player. And for me, especially in tennis, even if you're struggling or you're losing, I'm going to go down with a fight. So even if I lose to somebody, and many times they'll say at the end of the match, "Boy, you played great. I don't want to play you again." And so if they say that, then it's actually gratifying to me, because it basically, they were worried. Because you're not going to win everything, but if I know that I went out there, I gave it my all, and then it's a good day.
Let's dig a little deeper. So tell me the first memory of your childhood that comes to your mind right now.
The very first of my childhood. Wow.
That comes to your mind right now.
So I do remember as a young child, I think it was our first time visiting Israel to visit our grandparents, and we were watching the landing on the moon. So now I'm dating myself. But that's sort of a very early age, vivid memory. So we're all sitting around this black and white TV set, and in awe of Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, jumping off the ladder.
Also, you shared on Twitter that your grandparents were one of the 66 families to establish Tel Aviv. So how do you feel about that?
I'm incredibly proud of that. I mean, Tel Aviv is an amazing city. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to visit Israel yet, but
not yet.
We can make that happen. There's a huge expat population of Ukrainians and Russians that are there. So, but even beyond that, there's people from all over the world out there. It's a country of immigrants. And so, so my dad's family, the Weinsteins, we have roots. The actual Weinsteins came from Lithuania in, I think, the 1860s. And then even my great-great-grandfather married into a family that was in Jerusalem going back to the 1700s. But the net is that there was a Jewish community in the town of Jaffa, which is a biblical town just south of Tel Aviv. And there was land that was purchased by the Jewish community. It was all sand dunes. There was nothing there in 1909. And so my great-grandparents were one of those 66 families that established the city of Tel Aviv. And it's a pretty amazing thing. And when we go visit the houses that they used to live in, they're not owned by the family anymore, but the houses still exist. And when they had the 100-year anniversary of the city of Tel Aviv put these plaques in the sidewalk saying, "Here lived one of the founders of Tel Aviv," with their names, and it's quite. And there's also a monument on Rothschild Boulevard, which is probably one of the most beautiful parts of the city today. You actually have Google headquarters, Facebook headquarters is right there, but you also have beautiful restaurants and cafes. And on that monument has all the names of the 66 families. So it's my great-grandparents, and then I think 3 siblings of my great-grandfather and their spouse are listed on there as well. So it's something we're very proud of. There's history, and again, being Jewish, and what happened in the Holocaust, there's a lot of Jewish families that don't have that luxury. They don't know what happened. They don't have no history. There's nothing goes before what happened in Europe for them. So we're very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah. Also, I can see a Ferrari F40 behind you, and I guess it's Lamborghini, yes, Miura.
Yeah, Miura.
So, are you a fan of cars?
I am. So still don't know anything like that. We do have a Tesla 3. That's kind of the nicest car we've ever owned, but nothing like a Ferrari or Lamborghini. But we did a trip to Italy in 2015 for my oldest bar mitzvah. We went there, and then we went to Israel. And so in the area of Modena, so it's north of Firenze or north of Florence and south of Venice, it's what I would call the Italian car country. So you have two Ferrari museums. You have the Ferrari factory, you have Lamborghini factory, Lamborghini museum, Maserati. Who am I missing? We went to the other one. It's a really expensive car too. So we went to the Ferrari museums. But there's a handmade car, and the name's escaping me right now. I'll remember it in a few minutes. But we went there and had a tour. And so while we were there, we picked up these posters. And so I put that in my office.
Are those cars the cars of your dreams?
I wouldn't say necessarily the car of my dreams. I mean, one of the cars I dreamt about growing up was like the the Jaguar V12, the long nose XKE. That was certainly one I loved early on. There was like I used to like the old Oldsmobile Tornados, but as a kid, I used to just have this memory. I would memorize and just recognize every car model. I would go see cars, and I could say, oh, that's a 72 Beetle or a 65 Chevy, whatever it is, for whatever reason. And I used to go to car shows in New York all the time. I used to go to car shows on Long Island, and then I had friends growing up that were hobbyists, and so they had cars that they were trying to fix up and make really fast, and so kind of got into that. So I've always had a passion for going to car shows and for appreciate beautiful cars.
What kind of driver are you?
I am a very safe driver.
What does it mean?
It means that I've never been in an accident. I certainly have had my share of speeding tickets, parking tickets, but right now, clean record. And I have a lot of driving experience, even for somebody my age. So I've driven across the United States a few times. And I even worked in New York City. Well, yeah, I worked on Long Island actually as a taxi driver for several years during college. So, having that mindset and, again, even the trip I did around the United States after college, I mean, they did 20,000 miles or about 32,000 kilometers in 5 months of driving. But as I said, I've driven cross country several times. We even did an RV trip during COVID with the family. So we did like 6,000 miles or about 10,000 kilometers in a month. And that was a, large, it was like 55-foot, pickup truck plus the trailer. So you're talking about maybe 15, 18 meters, probably 18 meters in length. And then helped my brother move across the country. So a lot of driving experience. And at the same time, like I said, I've had, I've got a cousin in Florida that used to own a dealership. And so every time I visit Miami, he would have a nice weekend car. So I've had the pleasure of driving some very nice cars a few times. I didn't get speeding tickets with those, but I certainly, like to go a little bit faster than normal, but also being conscious of being safe.
And tell me one story of you being a taxi driver. Like it may be a fun, it may be a scary story, it may be like whatever you remember.
Sure. So this was actually it's different than just going around Manhattan and picking up random people on the street. This was actually at a train station in Hicksville, Long Island. And so it was the largest train station on Long Island. And they had a monopoly there, and so the owner was actually a neighbor of my parents. And when I was a kid, actually, I had a lawn cutting business when I was 13. That was sort of my first enterprise. And so Bill Kaufman was one of my first customers, and I knew that he had this taxi company. I also knew he had a limousine service, and so in college, I said, "Hey, Bill, I want to go drive the limo." And it's like, "You're not old enough. You have to be 25, but you can drive the taxi. You'll make more money anyway." So I did this at night, and the way that it worked is someone would have to come into the taxi office and ask for a ride, and they could put up to five rides in one car if you're going the same direction. So, and it was all commission based. But from I would say, adventurous story, the way it worked, you get through the evening rush hours. I would start at 3 in the afternoon. I worked till probably 2 in the morning. You would get through the evening rush of people coming home. And again, it's the same people, same routines. So I would recognize, if I have a good photographic memory, I would recognize people's face. I knew where they lived. So they were just, I'm going that way, get in this car. And so people liked the fact that they didn't have to tell me where to go. They knew, and I knew exactly what they were going to tip me, how much the fare was. It was all like really, it was automated. Now, having said all that, after the evening rush, it slows down, and you have to, when train comes in, you take the person there, and then it's probably another half hour before the next train. You wait in that area to see if there's another ride coming back to go to the train. So, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, they go tell me to pick up at the emergency room at a hospital. So I go there, and the nurse comes out and she says, "So are you a baseball fan?" I said, "Well, sure." "Well, who do you like, the Mets or the Yankees?" I said, "Well, I'm a Mets fan, but I also like the Yankees." "Okay, well, the guy you're going to take, he played for both teams. You're not to take him home. You need to take him to the hotel." And I'm like, "What happened?" "Oh, he got into a fight with his wife. She hit him over the head with a baseball bat. But don't take him home." So I took him from the hospital to the Holiday Inn. And his name was Neil Allen. So he played for the Mets, and now he just signed a big contract with the Yankees. And I take him to the hotel, and I'm like, "Okay, wait there." And then 15 minutes later, the dispatcher calls me and says, "Go pick him up. He wants to go home." Okay. So we go to his house. I pick him up to his house. He says, "You need to wait here in the car." I get to the house. There's 2 police officers in the driveway. His wife is yelling at him on the doorstep. He's like, I gotta go inside. I gotta take care of a few things. And he's like, "I comes outside. We have to go to the police station." Go to the police station, and then he comes out. And again, there's a running tab. And now it's probably close to midnight, and I've already been working about 9 hours. So we were at the police station. He's checking with them. Then he says, "Okay, how much?" He then gets in the car and says, "How much will it cost to go to Boston?" Again, I'm in New York. It's a good 250 miles, or roughly, let's call it 400 kilometers. Like, I don't know. I asked him, this is, it's $2 a mile. I'm like, $500. Okay. I need to check, make a phone call. We're either going to go to the airport, or we're going to go to Boston. And again, it's a 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive. I'm already working all this hours. So anyway, in the end, he made his phone call and says, "No, just take me to the airport." So it was quite the 2-hour adventure. Took him to the airport. He gave me a really nice tip, and that's just one of many, many stories. I think that that job. I've always had jobs that have been customer service, customer facing. I mean, even again, building up a landscaping business. You're cutting people's lawns in the neighborhood. You see every type of person, even in my own neighborhood of 40 houses that we dealt with. You had nice people, you had angry people, you had people that were whatever. In driving a taxi, you see everybody of every background, color, personality, young, old, nice, angry. I was lucky I never got robbed, and it was quite the adventure.
Yeah, I can't relate, but I can feel what you're talking about. Yeah, it's really. And were you ready to go on this trip, like 5-6 hours?
Oh yeah. I would have just slept. I would have just got coffee and gone, and then I would have slept somewhere in Boston for a few hours and come home.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing.
I honestly was more worried about the car making it, because again, it's not my car, it's the company's car. They're really old, these old police cars that have been converted to taxi cabs, and they had 3, 4, 5, 600,000 miles on some of these cars. They were not in great shape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're a really adventurous type of person.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed on your LinkedIn, like in the part of languages, so you have English, German, Hebrew, Spanish, and you built a community in Domo in English and Japanese. So what languages are you speaking good?
So I'm fluent. Excuse me. I'm fluent in Hebrew. I went to Jewish day school for 7 years, but also we traveled to Israel with family pretty regularly. And that was the base for the language, but I did a semester on exchange in my undergraduate degree at Tel Aviv University. And that 6-month period is when I became fluent in Hebrew. And then even today, later on, I lived in Tel Aviv for a number of years in my early 20s. And then even today, I have a lot of Israeli friends, and I have the opportunity to converse. So that's, born and raised with English as mother tongue, Hebrew. I studied Spanish for several years in high school. I've had the opportunity to travel to Spain several times, to Mexico a few times. I've been once in Argentina. And then even in California, there's opportunity to speak a little bit more Spanish. So I would say I have basic Spanish. German, I studied for a year in university. I've been to Germany several times. And so I got some basic German there. And then there's probably another 10 languages where I can, order beer or coffee, just from all of my, I had a Russian girlfriend at one point. My wife is from Montreal, so she's fluent in French. Her parents are Romanian. Living in Israel, you pick up Arabic. I studied in Holland on exchange in graduate school at the Rotterdam School of Management. So, Dutch, I can understand a lot of Dutch. The challenge with Dutch is the Dutch are probably the most fluent people on the planet. I mean, especially in a university setting. So I don't look the part of it. I don't look Dutch. And every time I would try to start a conversation in Dutch, they would answer me in English. The only way you could actually learn Dutch was by going to the local market with all the immigrants because they want to speak Dutch. So Dutch, Finnish. And so, again, it's from, and even a handful of words in Chinese, ni hao, xie xie. I've been to Beijing, Shanghai several times. And then even in my work with HP, we deployed and I managed 7 language communities. So we had English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, Simplified Chinese, and Korean. And so as you're going through that, and again, I wasn't the one moderating those languages, but I helped to run the teams that put them together. We did all the usability testing, and so visually, we had our HP branding. We had to make the site exactly the same. I would start to learn technical words around because you would see the UI. I would know exactly what that button was in English, and I would automatically know, okay, this is what it is in Japanese. The same thing in Domo. We had a need for deploying a fully localized Japanese experience for the Domo customers in Japan. And I've been to Japan one time, and I really wanted to go. I had an opportunity to go back with Domo, and they changed the dates of the customer event like a week before the schedule, and I had family commitments at home, so I wasn't able to go at that time. But looking forward to going back.
Once again, referring to the poster behind you, Bulwarks of Broken Dreams. Tell me more about that.
Oh, so this is a Helen Wine poster or print or art that's quite famous. It's got James Dean and it's James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, and I forgot the actor's name. Not Cary Grant. That'll come back to me. But very famous actor from the 40s. And I've had this for a really long time. I liked it a long, long time ago, and kind of resurrected it when I did, when I created this office, when I had dedicated remote office quite a number of years ago.
Yeah. So you've been working you were working at HP overall for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel when moving to another company?
Oh yeah. So HP, that was, a big part of my life, and it was quite the journey. So, I mean, I got hired at HP out of graduate school, and I joined a very profitable division of network printing. So this was when printers were moving from everybody having a printer on their desk to sharing it in a network environment in the office. And so you had network cards inside the laser jets, or you had external boxes for an inkjet printer. And that technology actually was created in the Roseville Networks division here in California. And I was the first non-engineer product manager hired into that team as a product manager. And it was not very easy to get in. They made me, I had a phone call, on campus interview, and then they invited me in for about 6 hours of interviews, but they mailed me or FedExed me 2 industry reports, one on the laserjet market and one on the network printing market. And I had to come in and give them a 30-minute presentation on as if I'm the CEO of a brand new startup that's coming in to compete against HP in this space. And I'm presenting to the people that are going to interview me. And the day went from 6 hours to about 8 hours. They still didn't make me the offer until the week later. But my point is that I got to taste, I would say, the legacy old HP culture. Because back in the day, and if you think about Steve Jobs and Wozniak, if you've read about the history of Apple, they talk about what the HP culture was, what HP was back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, it was the company. And, there's a reason why, even today, after all that's gone down, it still exists for, what, in the 1930s? So it's 61, 22, so in 83 years, HP's been around in some flavor. And there's a reason for that. So I got to taste that culture, certainly the first few years that I was with the Jetbrick group. It was very much a family. It was certainly work hard, play hard, but it was just a very well-oiled machine, very well process oriented. They had checkpoints on decision making with the right teams, and at the same time, it also really took in. They knew how to harness customer information, customer data, customer perspective on delivering a great experience and delivering good products. So, with that, I evolved and ultimately went into a startup that HP acquired called Verifone. I was a product line manager. That group needed a lot of help. And then I came back to more traditional HP and spent most of my career in support and services. So I had a great run there. And then once Carly came in and all these idiot CEOs that came in, I mean, the board was absolutely awful. And they made all these terrible decisions for the company. They acquired all these acquisitions. I mean, 3Com and EDS and Autonomy and go on and on and on. I would say 90% of them added no value at all to the company. It was really dilution of the company's value. It was all short term for gaining in the stock. We just had very poor leadership, and there's probably a very long period where I would have considered leaving. Now, what kept me there was this whole opportunity, what we call being invited onto the ground floor of the HP social care team back at the end of 2007. And at the end of the day is we won a JD Power Award for support in the Americas. Now, this was a very big organization. Again, it's support for consumer business. So everybody that owned PCs, printers, tablets, for the home, for micro business. And it owned the entire operation for call in dozens of languages, web, email support, chat support, remote control support. And I think the budget when I left in 2014 was about $1 billion to run that organization. So we won a JD Power Award in the Americas in 2006. In 2007, they said, we're not renewing it because you guys do not own and have a branded forum for support. And so we went to IT and they said, okay, it's going to take us 4 years to build a forum or build a community. We're like, we can't wait 4 years. That's how we got permission to go external and how we ultimately connected and partnered with Lithium, which is today Khoros, and had tremendous success. So that having that success there, because we're not tied to HPIT, we had to work with Lithium. That made it fun again. We were we were delivering quarterly great results. We were having fun. It was all industry leading. It was innovative. We won Groundswell Awards. We were hosting amazing superfan summits. And so to your point, things started to change, I think, once our top leadership either started to retire or leave. VJ retired, he was our EVP. And then our top two leaders that gave us the support for doing all the great work in community, they both ended up going to Apple's. Once they left, we had new people coming in and change the leadership. They started questioning, well, why are we spending so much money on community? Why don't we, and we're like, hello, we're delivering tens of millions of dollars in savings and support, and we have these great super fans that are driving our business, and every 6 months is the same conversation. So once that leadership came in, and then HP was starting to, we got so big with all the acquisitions, we're now 350,000 employees. I don't think people knew what HP stood for anymore. And so one day our senior vice president shows up here in Roseville. Again, we had beautiful campus, 500 acres. At one time, there were 8,000 employees here. And we had 12 hours notice for an in-person meeting. And they basically said, listen, we're leaving the campus. You have 4 weeks to move to another site. Your manager's here to tell you your options. So again, I'm kind of situated between San Francisco and Lake Tahoe. And my whole career, I was here. And they told me that I got to be in Palo Alto 5 days a week. And I'm like, well, you're not going to buy me a house, right? So you can't commute there. And also I said, why? My teams are in 12 time zones. I'd already been, HP was way ahead of the curve on working from home and being remote. I'd been doing that for like already 10 years. I mean, going like once a week to the office. My teams were elsewhere. I had, my team in Amsterdam with Wendy Skippers, and in Sao Paulo with Kelly Machado, and in Singapore with Lily Lowe, and teams in Bangalore, and everywhere else. I said, you want me to sit in a chair in Palo Alto so I can get on the phone and talk to people, talk to Yuri in Warsaw? It's like, no. So fortunately, my VP, John Moses, who was from the Palm culture, he went to bat for me. I ended up having about a year to work with, but it was really, okay, it's time to leave HP. And that's when I started to really leverage my community that I built out on LinkedIn. I mean, I've been on LinkedIn since 2004. I did it for my work. I never did it for myself. And so at that point, I'm like, now it's time for just myself. And that really led to, great things where I had, it took a long time, but I had the offer from Domo. There was another Bay Area startup, and I even had very advanced conversations with Salesforce right about the time that Erica hired Holly Firestone. So that would have been interesting. In any case, I went to Domo, and so going from HP, to your question, to a startup, again, pre-IPO, 500-person company. They're in Utah. Very few people remote, although they let me stay here in California. For me, it was actually refreshing. It was like, why did I wait so long to leave HP? And again, you kind of get comfortable. You're tied to, you have these great memories of what it was, and it takes a long time to recognize it's changed. It's not the same company it was, and now they're actually forcing the issue. So, that's the way life is. And so I embraced that opportunity. It was certainly a big change for me and my family. My kids only knew me working from home, and now I'm, the first 6 months of Domo, I'm on a plane going to Utah every week. But it was a healthy change. I helped to build, really have a seat at the table, working directly for the COO, drive strategy, build out a brand new B2B community, create the Superfan program, have amazing events at our conferences, speak at 30 user groups and 35 user groups in North America. But really connect with a whole different set of customers. So, B2C is one segment. This is now, B2B, go through an IPO. And ultimately, after a year and a half of travel, I was back to 80% working from my home office. So it was good.
Got it. And since you are an aspiring super dad, what is your dad's superpower?
That's a great question. So, and again, for those of you who have kids, it's a journey. I mean, when they're really little and you're not getting any sleep, especially your spouse, your wife, if you're a guy and, if she's the one who has delivered, the first year of life is really hard. And then if you've got two kids that are really small, that's even harder. And if they're like, both in diapers, that makes it even more difficult. And so you're really on 24/7 to make sure that they're fed and clothed and bathed, and they're not going to do something that they're going to accidentally get killed. So then that you get through that. Of course, there's a lot of joy that goes with it too. It's not all doom and gloom. And then as you get through that, and they start to walk and they start to feed themselves, they can bathe themselves, they can dress themselves, and they become more independent. They can ride the bus to school. You get more freedom. You start having more fun. You start traveling. You don't need strollers anymore. That's now you become all right. Now it's like, how do we keep them busy with soccer and tennis and whatever, or even school activities. And then as they get older and they become teenagers, it's like you're like, what happened? Now it's this person is now becoming this bigger person, and they're telling me how to live my life. So all the hormones kick in and they change, and sometimes it's pretty smooth and sometimes it's quite challenging. And so again, you move from being kind of, I think, all hands-on parent to becoming a coach and a trusted advisor. And that's kind of the role I'm in more today. And there's no playbook for it. I mean, you can read all these books on parenting, but at the end of the day, it's your kids, it's your life, and you've got to go with the values you have and the intuition you have, and kind of your gut feeling, and work with your partner on what you think is the right decision. And sometimes, well, hopefully most times it's probably the right call, and sometimes you make bad decisions. But at the end of the day, I think the goal is to bring up healthy, responsible human beings that are going to make the world a better place. So that's what I'm trying to do as an aspiring super dad.
Do you remember this moment when you transitioned, when you told yourself, okay, now I'm not a full-time parent, now I am a trusted advisor?
Yeah. And again, I grew up in an era where my parents instilled in us, you've got to go to college, you've got to get good grades, that's the only way you're going to get a good job. And the world has changed. And so my now 20-year-old is not your typical 20-year-old. He's been a gamer since he was 13. So an iPhone at 13, he was doing Minecraft. I took him to VidCon, which was the largest YouTuber conference in North America in Anaheim when he was 15. And I've been in tech my whole career, but then to go to this convention and see 25,000 kids ages 11 to 18 running around with their parents all talking about YouTube, it's like, holy cow. And he's like, we have to go to a meetup in a park. I said, who are we going to meet up? Oh, we're going to meet this YouTuber. So we go 2 miles from the convention center. We go to this park, and I have my laptop and my hotspot. I'm working, and 500 kids show up to meet this YouTuber who's probably 22 years old. And he had 6 million followers on his channel at that time, or subscribers. So Sam befriended, the guy's name is Preston. Today he has 20 million subscribers. It's like 27 years old, 28 years old. And long and short, Sam ended up working for him, creating Minecraft maps, and made quite a lot of money in 10th grade. And then he went to Dallas, and when he turned 16, he went 3 trips to Dallas. So that was an epiphany where he finished school in 10th grade that year. He had all A's. He finished, college level courses. And he wanted to go on this trip to Dallas. Now at 16, you could fly by yourself. So I said, well, where are you going to stay when you go to Dallas? Oh, well, his parents have a fixer-upper house that's near the office. I'm going to stay there. I said, well, who else is in the house? Oh, there's another guy from, the company. And who's he? I don't know. So that was a moment where like, well, is this safe? Is this the right decision? He really wants to go. He said he delivered great results, and we want to reward him. So we said, all right, we're going to let you go. But here's the conditions. First of all, you have to enable the location finder on your phone. It's where you are 24/7 while you're on the trip. Because he already turned on. He's so smart. He actually hacked our parental guidelines in some of the routers you have at home. When he was 13, he hacked the router and that disabled all the the controls inside a router. So it was sort of useful. So I said, you got to do that. I said, number one. Number two, if you're not feeling comfortable at any moment, you need to be calling me and telling me that so I can move you to a hotel. And then lastly, I just said, I'm going to come on the weekend. We'll fly back together. So fortunately, nothing bad happened. He had a great time. And then subsequently, he went back to 2 more times. He actually stayed at Preston's house. He was married. They had a big house because they had sold the other property. But that was a moment where it's like, okay, you got to let him do his own thing. And then even from there, he graduated high school early. He built a successful e-commerce business, and he just sold his first business at 20. And so now he just moved back home for a bit. And I'm like, well, let's get on LinkedIn. And he's like, no, I'm doing my own thing. Okay. And he's actually staying with my mother right now because she has a spare bedroom. He doesn't want to stay here. He wants his own space. But the point is, right now he's trying to create 5 YouTube videos that tells his entire story about what he did and essentially get a following and start to become a consultant in the space, because he had 1.5 million in sales last year, selling t-shirts and hoodies on his store at 19, which is just crazy. So I've already seen 2 of the videos. It's private right now, but they'll be published soon. And it's just, I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to do just fine.
And did it just start because of he liked playing video games and you allowed him to do that?
It's really hard to say if it's just that, because again, he spent all his time doing video games. We had restrictions on how much time he could do that. He was going to school, and he did it early on, but then he stepped away from it and he came back. When he came back, he actually saw I think once he went to VidCon, he saw the business opportunity. And so when he started working for the YouTuber, that whole world kind of opened up his eyes about what's out there, what can be done on the internet with e-commerce. And again, he did not have an easy journey. There were lots of ups and downs, and even selling his business was not easy. That took 9 months, and so it's really hard to say, what was the moment. But to your point, I think the epiphany about, moving from hands-on parent to coach, and then even today, same thing. And even with my other 2, it's, especially if they're struggling, it's hard to let go of that. Am I the coach here? Am I the parent here?
Yeah.
It's not a straightforward playbook.
Totally. And it never will be, for sure. A little crazy question. I don't know why, but every time I see you, a photo or a video, I feel like you are a Hollywood actor. So I don't know why, but I just have this feeling. So did you ever think about being an actor?
Not really. I mean, people say my doppelganger, depending on who you talk to, is Adam Sandler. But becoming an actor was never really, it didn't really appeal to me.
Okay, it was just my curiosity. So yeah, and you feel it. And I really wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So Guinness or coffee?
Oh, coffee.
Soccer or skiing?
Skiing.
What are your favorite color and song?
So silver, and we'll go with Stairway to Heaven.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
To instantly travel to any part of the world.
Who do you learn from in the community world? Name one person.
Oh boy. Ryan Oblinger.
Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
I think you did a good job on asking. You're very thorough, so nothing specifically comes to mind.
And final question, name 2 people who I should definitely reach out and have this conversation with them.
So Adrian Spire and Nicole Saunders.
Got it. They are on my list. Thank you very much for sharing. Okay, Dani. So it was an amazing conversation. Thank you very much for, I learned a lot from you, not only from like expert, a community expert, like a human, and also from a parent's perspective, because I'm a parent myself. And when you were talking about transitioning from full-time parent to coach, I was like, yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. So it is our first meeting, but I feel like, after this conversation, it feels like I've I know you forever. So yeah, thank you very much for being so open and for sharing your life story. And I have a lot of questions, but as I said, we have time as the limit. So just get ready for volume 2. One day we'll definitely do it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll see a pickup. We'll get through kind of the economic downturn that we're in, and I'll have the opportunity to travel with SAP to Europe, and hopefully we can meet up in Warsaw or Berlin or some other fine spot. And one of my teammates is in Croatia, and so looking forward to that. And of course,
or at least in the upcoming CMX summit. You never know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, thank you very much for this conversation, and see you in the community world. Bye.
Thank you.